The bright flash of light in the night sky caught everyone by surprise. Scientists at observatories around the world scrambled to their equipment. News channels broke into regular programming. Social media exploded with videos and theories. After decades of sending signals into the darkness of space, humanity had finally received a response. The massive alien ship entered Earth's orbit silently, its gleaming hull reflecting sunlight as it positioned itself above the Atlantic Ocean. For 3 days it made no contact, no movement. The world held its breath. Militaries went on high alert. Religious leaders called for calm. Ordinary people looked to the sky and wondered what would happen next. On the 4th day, a smaller vessel detached from the mothership and descended toward New York. It landed gently in Central Park, causing less disruption than a helicopter. The United Nations hastily assembled an emergency meeting, and within hours, representatives from every major nation gathered to meet the visitors from beyond the stars. Sam Miller stood at attention near the back of the UN General Assembly Hall. At 42, the Navy captain had never expected his background in astrophysics would lead to this moment. He tugged at the collar of his dress uniform and watched as Secretary General Okafor approached the podium. "Captain, you understand why you're here?" a soft voice beside him asked. Sam turned to see Dr. Lisa Powell, the xenolinguist whose papers he had studied in preparation for this assignment. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, and despite the historic nature of the moment, she looked remarkably calm. "They want military perspective alongside scientific expertise," Sam replied, "though I'm not sure what good either will do if their technology is as advanced as it appears." Lisa smiled. "Don't sell yourself short, Captain. The ability to recognize what we don't know is valuable in itself." The murmuring in the hall suddenly quieted. The main doors swung open and the aliens entered. Sam had seen the footage from Central Park, but nothing prepared him for seeing them in person. The 3 beings glided rather than walked, their iridescent robes flowing around bodies that seemed too thin to support the large bulbous heads. Their skin shimmered with a bluish tint, and where human eyes would be, they had 3 dark orbs arranged in a triangle. The tallest of the 3 approached the podium. A device on its chest glowed, and a perfectly modulated voice filled the room. "People of Earth, I am High Counselor Zextara of the Ardani species, senior representative of the Galactic Council that governs civilized space. We have monitored your development for some time, and have determined that your species has reached sufficient technological maturity to be formally acknowledged." Sam exchanged a glance with Lisa. The alien's words were clear, but something in the tone suggested condescension. "We extend to Earth the opportunity to join the Galactic Council as a protectorate species," Zextara continued. "This status will afford you certain privileges and protections as you continue to develop." Secretary General Okafor stepped forward. "We are honored by your presence, High Counselor. Earth would be pleased to discuss terms of relationship with the Galactic Council. However, I must ask what exactly you mean by protectorate status." The alien's head tilted slightly. "It is the appropriate classification for species at your level of development. You will receive guidance, limited technological assistance, and protection from less benevolent forces in the galaxy." "And in return?" Okafor asked. "Compliance with Council regulations, access to certain resources, and integration into the galactic community at a pace deemed appropriate for your species." Over the next week, Sam found himself included in a small team selected to negotiate with the aliens. Each day brought new revelations about the galaxy. Hundreds of intelligent species, faster than light travel, worlds transformed by technologies Earth scientists had only dreamed about. But with each passing day, Sam grew more concerned about the Council's true intentions. The aliens answered questions selectively, often claiming certain knowledge was not appropriate for Earth's development stage. On the 8th day, the negotiations moved to military matters. The Council representatives requested a tour of Earth's defense capabilities. Sam led them through a carefully prepared demonstration at a military base outside Washington, D.C. "This is our most advanced weapons system," Sam explained, showing them the prototype railgun that could launch projectiles at 8 times the speed of sound. It can hit targets in orbit with pinpoint accuracy. The 3 aliens looked at the weapon, then at each other. Their translator devices were off, but Sam could see their mouthparts moving in what appeared to be communication. When they finally responded, Sam didn't need the translator to recognize amusement. "Your projectile weapons are quaint," Zexitara said through the translator, mandibles clicking. "The Council outgrew such primitive means millennia ago. We now use directed energy and gravitational manipulation for defense." Lisa, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. "Hi, Counselor. If I may ask, what defenses would you recommend for a species at our level?" Zexitara's 3 eyes blinked, in sequence. "Your current efforts are unnecessary. As a protectorate, Earth will be defended by Council forces. Your military resources would be better directed toward supporting Council initiatives." That evening, Sam and Lisa met at a small cafe several blocks from their hotel, away from the aliens and other officials. "Did you notice how they reacted to our weapons?" Sam asked, keeping his voice low. Lisa nodded. "It wasn't just dismissal, it was almost like adults watching children play with toys." "Exactly. They don't see us as a threat." Sam stirred his coffee. "Which might be the only advantage we have." "You think we need an advantage?" Lisa raised an eyebrow. "I've studied enough history to know that when a technologically superior civilization meets a less advanced one, it rarely ends well for the latter." Sam leaned closer. "Have you translated any of their private conversations?" Lisa glanced around before answering. "My algorithms are still learning, but I've caught phrases like resource potential and strategic location when they think we can't understand." "Not the language of equal partners." "No." Lisa pushed her untouched tea aside. "There's something else. When I reviewed the treaty draft, the translation of protectorate more accurately means controlled population or managed species. We're not being invited to join anything. We're being colonized." Sam felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening air. "We need to tell someone." "Who?" "The UN is rushing to sign the agreement. Most world leaders see this as a technological shortcut to solving Earth's problems." "Then we start small. Find others who share our concerns." Sam looked up at the night sky, where the alien mothership was visible as a bright point of light. "The Council might mock our weapons now, but they're making a dangerous mistake." "What's that?" Lisa asked. "They're assuming that because their technology is superior, they have nothing to fear from us." Sam's expression hardened. "That's the thing about humans. We're at our most dangerous when we're underestimated." Above them, the alien ship continued its silent orbit, watching and waiting as humanity stood at the crossroads of its future. 6 months had passed since the aliens arrived. Earth had changed. Galactic Council ships now regularly visited the planet. Alien technology shops opened in major cities. Humans lined up to buy devices that could clean water or grow food in any soil. World leaders praised the new era of prosperity. Most people welcomed the aliens as saviors. Frank Daniels did not trust them. As a former Marine who now worked security at the new Galactic Embassy in Washington, D.C., he saw things others didn't. Frank stood at his post, watching council members glide through the hallway. Their blue skin shimmered under the lights. They spoke in clicks and whistles when humans weren't around. Frank had learned to stand very still, to become part of the background. That's how he heard things he wasn't supposed to hear. Today, 2 council members stopped near his position. They activated their translators to speak in English, but Frank caught a phrase before the switch. Earth's status update. "The humans continue to accept our guidance," said the taller alien, who Frank recognized as a mid-level diplomat named Vril Nadax. "Resource extraction can begin in their Arctic region next month." "And the military absorption?" asked the second. Alien. "Proceeding as planned. Human defense forces are being steadily reduced and integrated into our peacekeeping structure." Frank kept his face blank, but his heart raced. He had suspected something like this was happening. The Council had been pushing for what they called defense cooperation, taking control of Earth's military bit by bit. After his shift ended, Frank didn't go home. Instead, he went to a small office building downtown. He showed his ID to a guard and took the elevator to the basement. Colonel Diane Murphy looked up from her desk when he entered. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and deep lines marked her face. 6 months of worry had aged her. "You're early, Daniels," she said. "I heard something today, Colonel. They're planning resource extraction in the Arctic, and they mentioned military absorption again." Murphy sighed and gestured to a chair. "Sit down. We've intercepted similar reports from our people in Europe and Asia. The Council is moving faster than we expected." She turned her computer screen so Frank could see it. "Look at these satellite images. Those aren't research stations they're building in Greenland and Siberia." Frank studied the photos. The structures were too large, too heavily shielded for research. "Mining operations? Or worse. We think they're planning to establish permanent bases." Murphy pulled out a folder. "I need you to take this to someone." Frank took the folder. "Who?" "Captain Sam Miller. Sorry, he's Admiral Miller now. Newly appointed to lead our space defense program." She grimaced. "What's left of it anyway? The Council has been pushing us to scrap most of our ships." "I know Miller. By reputation. Why him?" "Because he's been gathering evidence too, along with Dr. Powell from the Xenolinguistics Division. They're building a case that the Council classified Earth as what they call a potential disruption species." Frank frowned. "What does that mean?" "It means they see us as a future threat. Species that get that label tend to end up with 2 outcomes: subjugation or elimination." Later that night, Frank met Admiral Miller and Dr. Lisa Powell at a restaurant near the Potomac River. They chose a table outside, away from other customers. The noise of the water would make it harder for anyone to listen in. Sam Miller looked tired but alert. Lisa Powell's eyes constantly scanned their surroundings as they talked. "The evidence you've brought matches what we've found," Sam said after examining the folder. "The Council isn't here to help us." Lisa nodded. "I've been studying their language patterns. When they speak among themselves, they use terms for Earth that translate roughly as resource world or strategic acquisition." "What do they want?" Frank asked. "Everything," Lisa said simply. "Our planet is rich in certain minerals they value. Our location provides a strategic position in this part of the galaxy, and humans themselves are considered useful." "Useful how?" Frank didn't like the sound of that. "Labor, service roles, possibly military applications." She looked down. "Some species in the Council keep others as what we would call slaves, though they use terms like assisted species or guided populations." Sam leaned forward. "The Council operates by finding worlds with potential, offering them protection, then gradually taking control of their resources and people. Worlds that resist disappear from their star charts. So what can we do?" Frank asked. "Their technology is far beyond ours. Maybe not as far as they think," Sam said with a slight smile. "Come with me. There's someone you should meet." They drove for an hour, eventually reaching a nondescript warehouse outside the city. Inside, Sam led them through a series of security checkpoints until they reached an underground facility, humming with activity. Engineers and scientists worked at various stations. Military personnel from different countries moved between workbenches. In the center of it all stood a woman in her 30s with her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail, pointing at a holographic display. Kelly Martinez, Sam introduced her. Formerly NASA's top propulsion engineer, now the head of our reverse engineering program. Kelly turned to greet them, her eyes bright with excitement despite the late hour. "You must be Daniels. The colonel said you were coming." "What is all this?" Frank asked, looking around at the equipment. "This," Kelly said with pride, "is our chance. We've been studying the alien tech, not just how to use it, but how it works. And we found something interesting." She led them to a workbench where what looked like a rifle lay partly disassembled. "The Council's defensive systems are incredibly advanced, against the kinds of weapons they expect to face." "What do you mean?" Frank asked. "Their shields, their sensors, Their entire defensive approach is designed to counter energy weapons, antimatter, advanced explosives, the kinds of things a mature civilization would use. Kelly picked up the rifle. But they've evolved past kinetic weapons, past simple physics. They don't even consider them threats anymore. Sam nodded. They laughed at our railguns, called them quaint. Exactly, Kelly said. So we're developing what we call regression weapons, technology that deliberately uses principles they consider obsolete. We're combining old-school ballistics with elements of their own tech. She pressed a button, and the rifle hummed to life. This looks like a conventional weapon, but it uses a magnetic accelerator based on their own drive systems. It fires simple metal projectiles, but at speeds their sensors aren't calibrated to detect because they consider them too primitive to be threats. Lisa looked troubled. Even with these weapons, we're still outnumbered and outgunned. True, Sam admitted, but we have something else they don't expect. A global alliance forming in secret. For the first time in history, every major military power on Earth is working together. Frank looked around the room, noticing for the first time the various uniforms and faces from around the world. How many facilities like this exist? Dozens, Kelly said. Hidden under innocent-looking buildings or deep underground. The Council monitors our official military bases, but they don't watch our abandoned mines or old storage facilities. Sam's face grew serious. We just learned the Council is sending what they call a peacekeeping fleet to Earth. 12 warships to assist with the next phase of integration. When? Frank asked. 3 weeks. Once they arrive, they'll deploy ground forces to major cities and begin what they've termed population management. Frank thought of the alien's words he had overheard. Military absorption. Yes, Sam said grimly. We don't have much time. The question is, are you with us? Frank looked at the weapons being built, at the determined faces around him. For the first time in months, he felt hope. What do you need me to do? The world went about its business, unaware of the threat coming from space. People walked their dogs, went to work, and watched alien entertainment channels. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, a silent war was being prepared. Humanity had just 15 days left before the Council's peacekeeping fleet arrived. In an underground base near Denver, Sam Miller studied holographic maps showing defensive positions around the globe. The room was filled with military leaders from different countries, all working together for the first time in human history. The Chinese have converted 6 cargo ships into weapon platforms, said General Wu, pointing to dots in the Pacific Ocean. They appear normal on Council scans but carry hidden railguns. Good, Sam nodded. The Russians have done similar work in the Atlantic, and India has positioned forces throughout the Indian Ocean. Colonel Murphy entered the room, looking grim. The Council has moved up their timeline. The fleet will be here in 12 days, not 15. The room fell silent. Sam took a deep breath. Then we need to accelerate our plans. How's the weapons production coming along? Kelly's team is working around the clock, Murphy replied. They've already distributed the new rifles to special forces units worldwide. The larger weapons are moving more slowly. And our space defenses? We've hidden 20 satellites that look like debris but contain our new weapon systems. If the Council scans them, they'll just see dead metal. Sam turned to the assembled leaders. Remember, we only get one chance at surprise. Once they realize our weapons can hurt them, they'll adapt quickly. Across the world, preparations continued in secret. In abandoned mines, empty warehouses, and underground bunkers, humans prepared their last stand for freedom. In Moscow, Lisa Powell sat in a small room with 3 other linguists. Papers covered the walls filled with alien symbols and their translations. I think I found something important, Lisa said, pointing to a document she had stolen from the embassy. The Council has faced rebellion before. The Xanthi tried to fight back 50 years ago. What happened to them? Asked another linguist. They lost. Their planet was stripped of resources and survivors were relocated to work camps. Lisa traced a symbol with her finger. But here's the interesting part. The Council's report says the Xanthi's biggest mistake was attempting to use advanced weapons that mimicked Council technology. So our approach of using simpler weapons might actually work? It might, Lisa said. The Council's combat systems are designed to counter what they consider threats: energy weapons, antimatter bombs, gravitic distortion. They've optimized their defenses against the weapons they respect and completely neglected defenses against weapons they mock. Lisa gathered her notes. I need to get this information to Admiral Miller immediately. Meanwhile, in a facility hidden beneath the Nevada desert, Kelly Martinez watched as workers assembled the last of the large-scale weapons. The massive railgun looked like ancient technology, but its inner workings contained elements reverse-engineered from alien systems. Frank Daniels stood beside her, checking a tablet with security updates. The Council is getting suspicious. They've increased patrols around major cities and they're monitoring our official military bases more closely. Have they found any of our hidden sites? Kelly asked. Not yet, but they're starting to notice the pattern of resource movements. Frank lowered his voice. And we have another problem. The Council is planning to install observation devices in major population centers tomorrow. You mean surveillance? Worse. According to our intelligence, these devices can influence human emotions, make people more accepting, less likely to resist. Kelly's hands tightened on the railing. We need to move faster. This weapon is ready for testing. They moved to a control room overlooking a long tunnel that served as a firing range. The target at the end was covered with materials taken from a Council shuttle, the same alloys used in their warships. Loading test projectile, a technician announced. The railgun hummed as it powered up. The sound grew until it filled the room, a deep vibration that made their teeth rattle. Fire, Kelly ordered. A flash of light, a sound like thunder, and the projectile vanished down the tunnel. On the monitors, they watched as it hit the target. The alien alloy, which could withstand energy weapons and extreme heat, shattered like glass when struck by the simple metal rod moving at incredible speed. The room erupted in cheers. Kelly turned to Frank with a fierce smile. Let's see them mock our weapons now. In Washington, D.C., High Counselor Zexitara addressed the United Nations. The alien's three eyes blinked slowly as it spoke about the peacekeeping fleet coming to Earth. This is the next step in your integration into the galactic community, Zexitara explained. The fleet will help establish more permanent council presence on your world, helping guide your development more directly. In the back of the room, a human aide slipped out quietly. She walked calmly to the bathroom, locked herself in a stall, and pulled out a secure communication device. The Council is planning to establish permanent control centers in every major city, she reported. Once the fleet arrives, they'll begin relocating government officials for special training. It's happening exactly like it did on Proxima II. Miller received the message in Denver. He shared a grim look with Colonel Murphy. We're out of time. We need to put our people in position now. Around the world, military units received coded messages. Civilians who had been quietly trained moved to designated locations. Ships changed course. Hidden weapons were made ready. In orbit, Council observers noted increased movement on the planet's surface but dismissed it as normal human activity. Their sensors detected no energy signatures that would indicate weapons preparation, no radiation. That would suggest nuclear activity. The humans are complying with our directives, a Council monitor reported. Military activity at their known bases continues to decrease as required. The observer failed to notice that those same bases were now largely empty. The troops and equipment long since moved to hidden locations. In Nevada, Kelly supervised the loading of her weapons onto transport trucks disguised as food delivery vehicles. Remember, minimal electronic communications from now on, she told her team. The Council can monitor those. Frank helped load the last crate. Do you think we have a chance? Kelly paused, considering the question carefully. The Council has better technology, more ships, and thousands of years of experience. By any logical calculation, we should lose. That's not encouraging. But, Kelly continued, they've never faced humans before. We spent our entire history fighting ourselves, developing weapons and tactics that the Council considers primitive. They've forgotten what we still remember. Sometimes the simplest solution is the most effective. Across the Earth, humans prepared for the arrival of the peacekeeping fleet. Old weapons were pulled from storage and modified with new technology. Soldiers trained with rifles that fired simple lead bullets but used alien power sources. Engineers converted fishing vessels and cargo ships into weapon platforms. And in orbit, disguised as space junk, 20 satellites waited silently, each containing a weapon the Council would consider too primitive to be a threat. 9 days later, the first ships of the Council's peacekeeping fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. Humanity's moment of truth was approaching. The Council peacekeeping fleet entered Earth's orbit on a clear Tuesday morning. 12 massive warships, each the size of a small city, positioned themselves around the planet. Their hulls gleamed in the sunlight, beautiful and terrifying. News channels worldwide broadcast their arrival. Many humans watched with hope, believing these ships brought advanced medicine and technology. Others watched with hidden fear, knowing the truth. In the White House Situation Room, Sam Miller stood with world leaders and military commanders, watching live feeds from space. His uniform was crisp, but dark circles under his eyes showed his exhaustion. "The Council ships have established geosynchronous positions," reported a technician. "They're directly above major population centers: New York, Beijing, Moscow, London, New Delhi, Tokyo." "Just as we predicted," Sam said quietly. He turned to the President of the United States. "Madam President, all our forces are in position. We're as ready as we'll ever be." The President nodded gravely. "You have authorization to proceed with Operation Slingshot when the time comes." On the main screen, a transmission appeared. High Counselor Zexitara's alien face filled the display. Behind the Counselor, other aliens moved about on what appeared to be the command deck of the lead warship. "People of Earth," Zexitara began, "today marks the beginning of a new phase in your species' development. Council facilitators will be arriving in your major cities within the hour to begin the integration process." "What exactly does this integration process involve, High Counselor?" the President asked, her voice steady. "A simple reorganization of your governance structures. Selected human representatives will receive special training aboard our vessels. Others will assist in resource management programs. All for the betterment of Earth, of course." Sam noticed how the alien avoided directly answering the question. He looked down at the secure tablet in his hand. A message from Lisa Powell flashed on the screen. Translation analysis. They're describing population control and resource extraction. The President continued the conversation, keeping Zexitara engaged while humans around the world moved into final positions. In orbit, disguised as a piece of space debris, one of Kelly's modified satellites drifted closer to the lead Council warship. Inside the satellite, simple systems counted down. No advanced technology, no complex computers that might trigger Council sensors. Just basic mechanics and electromagnetics. Technologies the aliens considered primitive. The communication with Zexitara continued. The aliens' patience was visibly thinning. "We have prepared for this transition for months," the Counselor said. "The process begins now. Our shuttles are launching." On screens around the Situation Room, smaller vessels detached from the Council, warships beginning their descent toward Earth's surface. Sam looked at the President, who gave a slight nod. "Operation Slingshot," Sam said into his secure communicator. "Execute." Around the world, humans who had been waiting for this moment began to move. In the Nevada desert, Kelly Martinez activated her railgun battery. In the Indian Ocean, disguised, fishing vessels powered up hidden weapons. In orbit, 20 satellites that appeared to be space junk suddenly came to life. Zexitara was still speaking when the first attack came. A simple metal rod, accelerated to incredible speed by one of them, the orbital satellites struck the lead warship's command section. The Council's defensive systems, designed to detect energy weapons and exotic particles, never registered the primitive projectile. On the video feed, the aliens reacted with shock as part of their ship decompressed. Zexitara stumbled, 3 eyes widening in disbelief. "What is happening?" the alien demanded. The feed cut off as more projectiles hit the Council ships. Simple kinetic weapons, Technology the aliens had laughed at months ago now punched through their advanced shields. All units engage according to plan, Sam ordered. Remember, focus on their engines and weapon systems first. In cities around the world, Council shuttles began landing. Aliens emerged, expecting to begin their takeover of Earth. Instead, they found human resistance forces waiting. The aliens activated personal shields that could stop energy weapons. But these shields did nothing against bullets and physical projectiles. In Washington, D.C., Frank Daniels led a team against a landing shuttle. The aliens' confusion was clear as simple bullets passed through their shields and struck their bodies. They never expected physical attacks. Frank told his team, "Keep firing." From her position in the Galactic Embassy, Lisa Powell transmitted Council communications to human forces. "They're calling for reinforcements," she reported. "They don't understand how our primitive weapons are causing damage." In orbit, the battle intensified. 2 Council warships had already been disabled by Kelly's railgun satellites. The others were maneuvering desperately, trying to target the human weapons. But the satellites were small and designed to look like debris, making them difficult to track. In the Nevada desert, Kelly's team fired their ground-based railguns at Council ships passing overhead. Each shot sent a tungsten rod hurtling upward, at speeds the aliens couldn't track. When the rods hit, they punched clean through Council hull material. "Keep firing!" Kelly shouted over the deafening noise of the railguns. "Don't give them time to adapt!" Back in the Situation Room, Sam watched the battle unfold on multiple screens. Reports came in from around the world. Human forces engaging Council troops in every major city. Modified naval vessels attacking Council shuttles over the oceans. Hidden anti-aircraft batteries targeting alien craft in the skies. London reports Council forces retreating, announced a communications officer. Beijing has secured the landing zone. All alien forces neutralized. New Delhi has captured an intact Council shuttle with crew. Sam allowed himself a small moment of hope. The surprise attack was working better than they had dared dream. The Council, so confident in their superior technology, had never prepared for the simple physical weapons humans had used for centuries. On the main screen, a new transmission appeared. It was Zexitara again, but the alien looked different. Disheveled, wounded, shocked. This is impossible," the counselor said. "Your weapons are primitive, they cannot harm our ships." "You made a critical mistake, counselor," Sam replied. "You judged our technology by your standards. You forgot that sometimes the old ways are effective precisely because they're unexpected." Zexitara's mandibles clicked rapidly in what Lisa had identified as a sign of extreme agitation. "We offer terms. We will withdraw our peacekeeping fleet." "No," the president stepped forward. "Your fleet will surrender. Those ships still capable of flight will land at designated areas. Any ship that attempts to leave Earth orbit will be destroyed." "You cannot make demands of the Council," Zexitara protested. In answer, another barrage of kinetic projectiles struck the Council ships. On the screen, warning lights flashed behind Zexitara. "Our shields are failing," a voice called. Out in the background, "Hull breach on multiple decks." Zexitara's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. For the first time, the alien looked afraid. We accept your terms," the counselor said. Around the world, Council forces began to surrender. The aliens, so confident in their technological superiority, found themselves outmaneuvered by humans using weapons they had mocked. In the Situation Room, Sam received a message from Kelly. It worked. It actually worked. Sam allowed himself a small smile as he watched Council ships beginning their controlled descent to landing zones on Earth. Humanity had won its first battle against the Galactic Council. But as reports of casualties came in, both human and alien, Sam's smile faded. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of a new chapter in human history, one where Earth would no longer be a passive player in galactic politics. "Send word to all commands," Sam ordered. "Secure all Council technology and prisoners, and prepare for the next phase." "The next phase?" someone asked. Sam looked at the screens showing damaged but captured Council warships. "Now we show the galaxy that humans aren't just good at fighting. We're also good at making peace." but only as equals, never as slaves. 3 weeks after the battle, Earth had changed again. Captured council ships sat in desert landing zones surrounded by research teams. Alien technology was being carefully studied. Council members who had surrendered were held in comfortable but secure facilities. The night sky looked different, too. Several council warships remained in orbit, now under human control. Sam Miller stood at the window of what had once been the Galactic Embassy, now the headquarters for Earth's new defense force. Behind him, a meeting table was surrounded by military leaders and scientists from around the world. The Council's central government has finally responded to our messages, Sam announced, turning to face the room. They're sending representatives to discuss terms. Not another attack? Asked Frank Daniels, who now led security for the new headquarters. They seem to have gotten the message after we disabled their first fleet, Sam replied. According to the communication, they're sending diplomats, not warships. Kelly Martinez looked up from a tablet displaying schematics of alien technology. Can we trust them? Not entirely, Lisa Powell said. She had been studying intercepted council communications since the battle. But they're scared. No protectorate species has ever defeated council forces before. They don't know how to handle this situation. Colonel Murphy, now General Murphy, tapped the table thoughtfully. Which gives us leverage. Exactly, Sam agreed. For the first time, we're negotiating from a position of strength. The meeting continued as they planned Earth's approach to the coming negotiations. They had learned much in the weeks since the battle, about the Council, about other species under Council control, and about the galaxy beyond their solar system. 2 days later, a single Council ship arrived at the edge of the solar system. Unlike the warships of the peacekeeping fleet, this vessel was smaller and clearly designed for diplomatic missions. It requested permission to approach Earth. Sam supervised the security arrangements personally. The Council delegation would meet with Earth representatives at a neutral location, the International Space Station, which had been expanded using captured Council technology. When the day came, Sam, Lisa, and Kelly traveled to the space station, along with leaders from major Earth nations. They waited in the main conference room as the Council ship docked. The door opened, and 3 aliens entered. In the center was a figure Sam recognized, High Counselor Zexitera, looking much less confident than during their first meeting. The counselor's left arm was in some kind of medical support device, an injury from the battle. Behind Zexitera came 2 aliens of species humans had never seen before. One was tall and insect-like, with 4 arms and compound eyes. The other was shorter, with scales and a crest of feathers. Welcome to the International Space Station, the Secretary General of the United Nations greeted them. Please be seated. Zexitera's 3 eyes blinked slowly. I present Senior Arbiter Valshar of the Judicial Branch and Chief Diplomat Noor of the Diplomatic Corps. The negotiation began formally, with each side presenting their terms. The Council wanted the return of their captured ships and personnel. Earth wanted recognition as a fully independent world, not a protectorate. Such status is unprecedented, Zexitera objected. All new species must go through the protectorate phase. We've demonstrated that we don't need your protection, Sammy responded. And we've proven that technological advancement isn't the only measure of a species' capabilities. Chief Diplomat Noor leaned forward. Unlike Zexitera, the feathered alien seemed genuinely curious. Your victory has caused much discussion in the Council. Many want to understand how a less advanced species defeated our forces. Lisa smiled slightly. Perhaps the Council has forgotten something important. Newer isn't always better. You abandoned physical projectile weapons so long ago that you forgot to defend against them. A mistake we will not make again, Zexitera said stiffly. Then let's ensure we don't repeat mistakes on either side, the Secretary General suggested. Earth wants peace, but as equals. The negotiations continued for hours. Finally, Senior Arbiter Valshar raised all 4 hands for attention. The situation is without precedent but not without solution, the insect-like alien said. I propose that Earth be granted special status, neither protectorate nor full council member, but a sovereign allied world. What would that mean exactly? Kelly asked. You would maintain full control of your planet and military. You would have access to Council technology through fair trade agreements. You would not be subject to Council resource extraction programs. Valshar's compound eyes shifted. In return, you would share your unique military innovations and agree to certain restrictions on expansion beyond your solar system until formal membership is established. The human representatives conferred quietly among themselves. Sam studied the aliens carefully. Zextara seemed resistant to the idea, but the other two council members appeared genuinely interested in a peaceful resolution. We need guarantees, Sam said finally. And we want observer status on the council to ensure our interests are represented. To everyone's surprise, it was Zextara who conceded. The council will agree to these terms. We recognize that Earth is too unique among species we have encountered. The formal agreement was signed the next day. News spread quickly across Earth. Humanity had secured its independence and a place in the galactic community. 1 month later, Sam stood with Lisa, Kelly, and Frank on the observation deck of the newly established Earth Space Defense Headquarters. Below them, Earth was peaceful. Above, stars represented possibilities instead of threats. The first human delegation leaves for the Council homeworld tomorrow, Lisa said. I never imagined I'd be traveling to another star system when I started studying alien languages. And I never thought my primitive weapons would change how a galactic civilization views us, Kelly added with a smile. Frank looked out at the stars. Do you think they'll ever try to conquer us again? They might, Sam admitted. But they'll think twice about underestimating us. And we'll be ready if they do. That's the thing they didn't understand about humans, General Murphy said as she joined them on the deck. We're at our best when facing impossible odds. We don't give up. And we learn from history, Lisa added, both our own and others. Sam nodded toward a nearby shipyard where Earth's first true interstellar vessel was being constructed. It combined the best of human innovation with adapted Council technology. We won't make the same mistake the Council did. We won't forget old knowledge while pursuing new discoveries. On the main screen of the command center, a message appeared. The first reports from human observers at the Galactic Council were coming in. Other species were requesting contact with Earth, some seeking trade, others hoping to learn from the world that had stood up to the Council. They mocked our weapons, Sam said quietly. Now they're studying them. That's the greatest victory of all. Not that we won a battle, but that we've changed their thinking. In the vast darkness of space, humanity had found its place. Not as a protectorate, not as a conquered people, but as equals in a galaxy full of wonders and dangers. And it had all started with a single shot from a weapon the Council had laughed at. A reminder that sometimes the simplest solutions were the most effective. The Council would never mock human weapons again.